The 2024 Copa America stage is set with the final two teams qualifying, Canada and Costa Rica. Now that Canada has officially qualified for the Copa America, I can start talking about it because I really didn't want to jinx it. So for today's video, I'm going to give you guys my 2024 Copa America predictions, starting with Group A. In Group A, we have Argentina, Canada, Chile, and of course Peru. Argentina are the clear favorites in this group, and I expect them to win all three matches pretty comfortably. They are the defending World Cup champions and Copa America champions. They have a star-studded roster built on great chemistry with Messi, Martinez, Fernandez, and more. I don't expect anything else. No upsets here. They are first place. In second place, you may think because I'm Canadian and I'm biased, I'm going to go with Canada. Well, you would be mistaken. I'm going with Chile. Now, Chile has a history in the Copa America. I know this is years ago where they won the two back-to-back Copa Americas, including the one that was in the United States back in 2016. However, they are a very different team right now. They are doing pretty poorly in their World Cup qualifying, but I still think when it comes to tournament football, this team can be special. There's a ton of experience in this group with Claudio Bravo, Alexis Sanchez, and Eduardo Vargas. These players come up big on this kind of stage. I know that it's going to be close. Peru could easily compete. I'm not so confident about Canada, but at the end of the day, I'm going to go with my gut, and I think Chile will make it. In third place, just missing out on the knockouts, I am going with Peru. Now, they are a very interesting side right now because in the CONMEBOL World Cup qualifying, they sit dead last, 10th place with 0 wins, 2 draws, and 4 losses after 6 matches. This is still a talented side who has had some recent success. They qualified for the 2018 World Cup and were the finalist in the Copa America in 2019. Now, I know this is 2024 right now and they are in a difficult spot, but considering they're familiar with this tournament and this style of play, I think they're the favorites to probably edge out Canada for third place. Which leaves Canada in fourth place. And I know that may surprise some of you guys considering the fact that I'm Canadian, but I've learned from my mistakes. Canada was one of the most informed sides leading into the 2022 World Cup, but on the world's biggest stage, they went 0 wins, 0 draws, and 3 losses, and it has not got much better ever since that tournament. 2023 was pretty miserable, and 2024 has been okay considering we won the one match that we needed to win to get into this Copa America against Trinidad and Tobago, but we were expected to win that match, and we didn't even do it in style. It was far from convincing. There are issues within the federation, there's a lack of resources, and right now we don't have a proper head coach leading into this tournament. It's going to be Biello. There's just nothing about this Canadian side that convinces me that they can do anything in this tournament. I know Chile and of course Peru are in difficult moments right now, but they have the experience. I back them to probably defeat Canada. I'm guessing Canada will probably finish this with maybe a 0 win, 1 draw, 2 loss type record, and that rounds out my group. Moving along now to Group B, which I say is the group of life. I think each one of these nations has an opportunity to make it to the knockouts. In the group, we have Mexico, Ecuador, Venezuela, and Jamaica. Starting off with Mexico, they are in a pretty dark place right now in their history considering the U.S. men's national team keep walking all over them. They just defeated them in the Nations League once again in a very convincing 2-0 scoreline. Mexico was underwhelming during World Cup qualifiers. They were underwhelming at the 2022 World Cup where they failed to get out of their group, and they haven't really done anything spectacular since. There are some question marks around the Mexican head coach in Jimmy Lozano. It's expected that he may not get this tournament after losing the Nations League final against the United States. There's also some talented players in this squad like Memo Ochoa, who despite being 38 years old is still expected to be the starter, and players like Santi Jimenez, who's lighting it up at club level but somehow can't start for their national team. Despite all of this, I do think there's some reasons to be optimistic with this Mexican side. I think that they will have a good chance against a Jamaica and even a Venezuela, so that's why I'm placing them in second place in this group. Topping the group, I did go with Ecuador. This is one of the most exciting teams at the tournament, filled with talented youngsters and a hungry coach. Felix Sanchez had a very successful spell with the Qatar national team and left that role after the 2022 World Cup. He started coaching Ecuador in March of 2023, and despite receiving a 3-point deduction in the World Cup qualifying process, they sit 5th place. With talented players like Estupiñán, Caicedo, and Valencia, I expect this Ecuador team to be a fun one to watch throughout this tournament, and I see them topping this group. This was a difficult decision for me. I was very close to putting Venezuela in second place and going through. They don't have the most star-studded roster, we know that. They have a bunch of good players with a talented coach who's doing really good work right now. Fernando Batista is working wonders right now for this national team. They usually struggle in World Cup qualifying, but he has them sitting in 4th place with a 2-win, 3-draw, and 1-loss record. Also, having Jose Salomon Rondon in fantastic form right now with Pachuca will be big. I think he's going to have a massive tournament, and if they do qualify, I think he will be a big reason for it. In fourth place in the group, I am going with Jamaica. This is one of the most intriguing squads in the tournament because they have a lot of their local Jamaican guys, plus those dual nationals coming from England, and you don't really know what you're going to get out of them. You saw them upset Canada and go to the Nations League semifinals, and just when things are looking up, you have one of your star-studded players like Leon Bailey deciding not to go to the Nations League semifinals, and they were very close to defeating that US side and going to the finals. They were missing like 6 players. You don't know who's going to show up. It's just a tough team to bet on, and because of that, I'm going to put them in the basement in this group. In Group C, we have the United States, Uruguay, Panama, and Bolivia. Topping the group, I do have Uruguay. I think that they will be one of the favorites in this tournament. They are under Marcelo Bielsa, who is a manager I really rate, plus they have a lot of talent in this squad. Uruguay has always been a nation who's been able to defend, and that is key in tournaments like this. So with players like Araujo and Jimenez at the back will be big for them. Further up the pitch, they have players like Agate, Valverde, and up front they have Luis Suarez, who just doesn't seem to age, along with Darwin Nunez. If they can figure out how to play these guys together, I think they will be very dangerous in this tournament, and I think no matter what, whether they finish first or second in this group, they will go on a deep run. In second place, going through, I have the United States. As much as I don't really want to put them there, I do think they will get out, and I think out of all the CONCACAF nations in this tournament, they will go the farthest. Their star man, Christian Pulisic's having a great season right now in Italy. Gio Reyna, despite really not playing too much, you see what he can do when you put him in a starting 11. He was lights out in the Nations League. He should start a lot in this tournament as long as Greg can figure it out. They're solid at the back, a ton of talent all throughout Europe. This is a really good roster. I just think Greg is the only thing really holding them back. But despite that, he showed that he can get them out of the group stage at the World Cup, which he did. He just won the Nations League for the 3rd time. He's won 2 of the 3 of them. I think no matter what, this team will do something at this tournament. I could see them going on maybe a semifinal type run. It really depends who they face in that quarterfinal, but in the group stage, I'm backing them with 2nd place. In 3rd place, I have Panama. Now, I really like where this program is going. Thomas Christensen has done a fantastic job. He took them all the way to the Gold Cup final where they lost 1-0 against Mexico in extra time. They didn't have the greatest showing at the Nations League semifinal, getting thrashed really against Mexico, but despite that, this is a team that can compete and maybe could do a surprise, but at the end of the day, I do think the United States and Uruguay are just that much better, which is why I have them in 3rd. In 4th place, I have Bolivia. I just don't think they have the squad to compete in this group. They are struggling once again in World Cup qualifiers as well. They have 1 win and 5 losses in 6 matches, and unfortunately for them, I think they will finish in 4th place. Finally, we have Group D, which contains Brazil, Colombia, Paraguay, and Costa Rica. Group D is pretty straightforward to me. I have Brazil topping this group. I know they have a new manager and they don't have Neymar, but this is still a very talented roster. If they can figure it out at the right time, they're always going to compete in this tournament, especially in this group. Despite Colombia being very tricky, I do have them topping it. In 2nd place, I have Colombia, and it wouldn't surprise me if they win 2 matches and draw against Brazil, and they just are tied on points, but Brazil has a better goal difference. I think this Colombia side is in fantastic form right now. In World Cup qualifying, they are undefeated. They sit 3rd place with 3 wins and 3 draws. James Rodriguez is just somehow turning his form around. They have a ton of talent, and I think that they could also go deep in this tournament. You also can't forget players like Ospina, who will be between the sticks, and of course, Luis Diaz, who will be one of the most important players for this team going forward. I have Paraguay just missing out in 3rd place. I do think this squad has a lot of talent, especially at the back with players like Gomez and Alonso, 2 very talented center backs, and up front, of course, you have Almiron, who will always cause some problems, but at the end of the day, I do think that Colombia and Brazil are just the clear favorites in this group, and unfortunately for Paraguay, they will crash out in the group stage. Which leaves Costa Rica in 4th place, and unfortunately for them, this group is just too difficult. I don't think that they can even defeat a side like Paraguay, let alone Colombia and Brazil. And for CONCACAF, it could be a pretty difficult tournament, but especially for them and in this group, I have them in the basement. We now have our quarterfinal matchup set, so let's rapid fire these predictions. For the first quarterfinal matchup, we have Argentina against Mexico. No surprises here. I don't even think it will be close. I'm going with like a 3-0 scoreline for Argentina, moving on to the semis. Moving on now to our second quarterfinal matchup, we have Ecuador against Chile. I think this will be a little bit closer than the previous quarterfinal matchup, but I do think that Ecuador are the better side, and like I said, I have them going deep in this tournament, so I have them winning this matchup 2-0. For the third quarterfinal matchup, we have the United States taking on Brazil. This is why it will be so difficult for the United States to reach the Final Four, because more than likely, if they top their group, they will get Colombia, and if they finish second, they get Brazil. Regardless, I don't have them going through against either nation, and especially in this result against Brazil, I have them winning 3-1. The fourth and final quarterfinal matchup is Uruguay against Colombia. I think this will be a flip of the coin. It will be very difficult for both sides to break each other down. I think at the end of the day, it will finish 0-0, go to penalties, and I have Colombia going to the semifinals 5-4. Semifinal number 1 sees Argentina take on Ecuador. This will be a very intense match. I think that unfortunately though, for Ecuador, the fairy tale run ends here. Argentina are just too good and will eventually find a goal, so I have them scoring a late one and going through 1-0. The second semifinal will see Brazil take on Colombia. I once again think this will be a very close match. I just think there's something off with this Brazil side right now, which is why I'm leaning towards Colombia. I think that they will just be a little bit more up for it. They'll get a couple quick ones. Brazil will claw one back. It will finish 2-1, and Colombia get the upset and go to the final against Argentina. My 2024 Copa America final will see Argentina take on Colombia. I think this will be a very exciting final. A lot of hype will be surrounding Colombia and the run that they're on. Unfortunately, though, I think the defending Copa America and World Cup champions, Argentina, will pick up yet another Copa America. You just can't really bet against them. I do think it'll be close, but eventually someone on that star-studded lineup will find a goal. I'm going 1-0 Argentina, and they will be the 2024 Copa America champions. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Let me know down in the comment section what you think about my predictions. Let me know what you guys think about yours. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub, and we'll see you guys soon. Cheers, friends.